Twine.
You're listening to the Creative Faith and Friends podcast, episode number 19.
Oh, I got you. There's no reason to chasing payment on my own, 'cause you're here to stay every night and day. I'm delighted 'cause I got you. La, la, la.
Well, welcome to the Creative Faith and Friends podcast. My name is Melissa Olson from pinkpaperpeppermints.com, and I am here with my two co-hosts, Lauri. Hi, Lauri.
Hey, everybody.
And Jessica. Hey, Jess.
Hey, y'all.
And we're super excited because we are continuing our series on fabric and sewing, and we are talking about fabric embellishments today. We have lots of ideas for you. But before we get started, we have some Happy Mail to share, and Lauri is going to share Happy Mail today. Right, Lauri?
I am. So our Happy Mail this week is from Apple Podcast Reviews, and this is from Sally, who is Sally D Designs on Instagram. She said, "I love this podcast. It's like being with wonderful, truly faith-filled friends, which can be hard to find. I've fallen into a slump this year, and this podcast, with its fun and amazing techniques and challenges, has helped me be more creative. Thank you, ladies, for inspiring me to get back at being creative and trying new things."
Aw,
Cool.
Sally.
I know.
Thank
That's
you.
so awesome.
That's so sweet. I'm sorry you've been in a slump, though.
I
But I'm
know.
excited that you're getting out of it.
I think we can all go there at times.
Yes, absolutely. And I know she posted something recently that I loved. So she
Yeah.
must be working on getting out of her slump.
She's out.
She's doing good.
Thank you so much for that, Sally. And be sure and email me. Use my contact form on my website because you get to pick something from the shop since we shared your email today. And if you would like to share an email with us, if you have a question or a comment or a story, anything that you want to share with us or a review, we love reviews on Apple
Mhm.
Podcasts, then feel free to do that. And then if we use it on the show, you can choose anything from the shop as a thank you for participating.
Yes.
So
Yay.
thank you so much, Sally.
Thanks, girly.
So, okay, we are talking about fabric embellishments today. And this one, I really had to stop myself from writing ideas down because I was like, we don't have time for all of these ideas. And Lauri, the same thing. And I'm sure, Jess, you too. Well, you and I haven't talked about it, but I know you've got a million fabric embellishment ideas too. So
yeah.
we love fabric almost as much as we love paper. Actually, Jess might love fabric more than paper.
Yeah, I
Do
like
you?
fabric a lot. Probably
Yeah.
so. It just in a different context, but I do love it.
Yeah, I love them both. I would say almost equally, but fabric doesn't have the crunchy sound that paper has. That's
Right.
Yeah.
I love the crunchy sound that paper has. Isn't that weird?
Nope, I totally do. Yep.
The best thing in the world is combining fabric with paper so that when you move the fabric, it crunches like the paper.
Yes.
It's like, that's
Agreed.
my favorite thing ever. So, okay, well, let's talk about some of the kinds of fabric that are good for embellishment. So, one thing that I think is really fun fabric for embellishments, and I don't even know if this is actually considered fabric, you tell me, Jess, is cheesecloth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fabric. I mean, you've got, yeah.
It's a very loose weave. If you don't
Yeah.
know what cheesecloth is, I guess it was originally used to strain cheese
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
that the liquid would come off of it when you were making cheese. But now, of course, we use it for all kinds of fun crafts. And it's like tulle, but it's a lot softer than tulle.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And
And the weave is much more open.
yeah,
Yes.
much more open weave. And it's just really pretty to use behind things. You can just bunch it up and create something that looks like a flower. And you can stencil over it or I guess like use it on the gel plate and get really cool texture with it that way. So there's just so many things that you can do with it. So that's why I think it's a really good embellishment fabric.
You can also manipulate it in stretching it and making it look really contorted. And it's neat
Yes.
when you stretch it out. It even
Mhm.
makes it a looser weave.
Mm-hmm. And it looks so pretty.
Yeah.
And then chenille, I think, is a really good embellishment fabric too, because it has that really fun texture and just fluffy. And you can't see my fingers, but I'm moving my fingers
Yeah.
like I'm feeling some chenille.
Yeah. I need some tips on using chenille because I've got a bunch and have yet to use it.
I know. And I have a bunch too, thanks to my sweet friend Lauri. She sent me a gigantic box. And y'all, there's so much beautiful fabric in it. You could just
Uh-huh.
I don't want to make you jealous by telling you how amazing it is. But yeah, so chenille. And yeah, we'll talk about some ideas with all these in a minute. Another one, of course, we just mentioned this before, but tulle. I think tulle is, I mean, I guess it's fabric. It's not, it's kind of like ribbon, but it's kind of fabric.
Again, a loose weave, but I think it's a fabric.
Yeah, I love tulle because it's super cheap and it just adds so much. You can take a little tiny piece of tulle and stick it in with some ribbon, and it just adds so much to anything. And I love to layer it in between things and under things to give some depth, but then having it peek out, and it doesn't detract really because it's so transparent. It's not like a regular fabric. It doesn't have a lot of weight to it, so it doesn't pull away from your focus of whatever you're working with. So I like it for that too. And then of course there's so many different kinds that have glitter and chunky sequins in it. You can get just so many kinds of different tulle. And this is another one that is really not fabric. I guess that's my theme of all of these. And that is drywall tape. And I don't know if y'all have used drywall tape before, but it's kind of woven and it's sticky, and you can just do a lot of fun things with it.
I have some. I thought that's what I had, and I looked it up, and that is what I have.
I'm not sure if I do or not. I have to look it up.
It's like a mesh. In fact, I remember when I used to work at a scrapbook store back in the old days, there was actually a company that came out with it as a product, and they called it Magic Mesh. Do y'all remember that?
Oh, no.
Oh, you're too young.
Maybe.
You don't remember anything.
I might remember the name. I'm gonna Google that Magic Mesh. Let's see what that's
Magic
all
Mesh.
about.
And it was like a little tiny roll of drywall tape.
Oh my gosh, for
And-
a bunch of money.
Yeah, for like $7, which you can buy like 400 yards of drywall tape.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know. I just made those numbers up, but
Yeah.
it's really cool because it just gives like a grid look. So you can use it behind things, and you can stencil over it, but you can also make things out of it like that look like flowers or ribbons. So it's kind of an unusual, it's not really fabric, but you can use it like fabric. So that's why I added it to the list. Another thing, of course, is felt. Again, not actually fabric, but it's kind of fabric. And again, I like it because it's inexpensive and you can experiment with it, and you can do almost all the same things with it that you can do with fabric, but just for a lot cheaper.
Well, what is felt if it's not fabric? Isn't it fabric?
I don't know. I guess I'm just thinking cotton fabric.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're thinking, because felt originated with wool.
Yeah.
Felting, roving wool.
Gotcha.
It's not all wool now, I don't think, but it did originate with wool.
Mhm.
Most of it, I think the cheap stuff that you can buy is like acrylic.
Yeah, because it melts.
Polyester. Yeah,
Yep.
it does melt.
I was just like,
Ooh.
You can still get wool felt. It's just a lot more.
Yes,
And there's
yes.
places online you can get it, and it is really beautiful.
Yeah.
So also, I think a really good source of fabric is old bed sheets.
Yes.
Because it's like muslin, and it sounds gross, old bed sheets, but obviously wash them and whatever.
Obviously.
but they get holes in them and stuff, and you can't really donate sheets with rips or holes in them, right? So I think most people just throw them away. But I mean, oh my gosh, that's yards and yards of fabric that you can use. You can dye it, you can tear it into strips, you can sew things onto it. It's not beautiful by itself, but you can do things to it to make it beautiful. And that we're going to talk about some ideas for that in a little while too.
And some of the vintage bed sheets are beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course.
You can get some
Vintage
really cool
linens.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, are so gorgeous. That's like,
Mhm.
I really have to restrain myself when I go to estate sales, or even just when I go on Etsy to look for something. I have to restrain. I want to buy all the vintage linens.
I know.
And I already have so many that I really need to stop, but it's hard because they're so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Well, and just cotton fabrics. I have a love for cotton, and I'm sure part of it is because I sew with it a lot. But my mom, in her shop, Cotton Pick and Stitching, has some beautiful cottons that make the neatest embellishments. Some even have metallics on them, and they are just awesome to have little bits of and use.
Yeah, your mama has awesome fabric.
Yeah,
I agree.
I know. I have to stay out of her shop.
Mhm.
I already ordered a huge order from her, and whenever I think of it, I'm like, no, don't go in there right now.
I know the struggle there.
Yes. So, okay. Do you guys have any other ideas for
Yes.
fabric?
Burlap.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
burlap.
I love
burlap.
burlap.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a lot of fun. It adds a lot of texture and color.
Yeah. I know a lot of people like burlap. It's not my favorite, I guess. just seems, I don't know, it's not
It's
soft
scratchy.
enough. It's scratchy.
Yeah.
What is that? Why do I care that it's scratchy? I'm not wearing it.
Exactly. It's going on
But
your
you're
paper, which is
touching it.
also scratchy.
But you touch it in messing with it. I get it. It's a texture thing.
Yeah, it's a texture thing, I guess. It's just that I don't like the texture, but I do like the way it looks. And I especially like when people paint it or put gesso on it. I think
Yeah.
that looks really good.
I've got a whole bunch of upholstery fabric. I can't remember if I sent you some of that, Melissa, but it's like 70s upholstery fabric. I don't know what to do with it.
I don't know if you did. You did send me the. It's like pink gingham. I'm looking at
Nope,
it. That's
not
why
that.
I got far away from the mic here. But it's pink gingham with like an embroidery on it. It's so amazing. I love it so much.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to cut it, and I need to, but it's just so pretty.
The only reason I could cut it is because Jess did it first.
Yeah, I did it.
She just hacked off a piece of it, and I'm like, all right, then that's what I'll do.
I'm not
So-
afraid of fabric.
Yeah, so I will have to send you some of this upholstery fabric. I think I sent you some a long time ago, Jess.
I think
But it's
so
like
too.
total 70s, dark brown with like orange flowers on it. It's so
Oh, I love
70s,
that.
and I just don't know what to do.
Fabric is a lot thicker, but that also
Yes.
means that it can add more texture and dimension to an
Mhm.
embellishment.
True.
Yeah, and it can take more, so you can sew chunky things onto it.
Hmm.
You can do more to it because it's stronger. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to play with it a little bit.
Okay, what else? Any other fabrics
Hmm.
that I didn't mention? I'm sure there's a million fabrics that I didn't mention, but those are the big ones. Those are
Yeah.
the ones that I have ideas for, a lot of those. So, okay, well, let's talk about some fabric embellishments that you can make. Lauri, do you want to start? Because you said you had a lot of good ideas.
I do. Well, yes, I do. I think they're good ideas.
I'm sure they are. I'm excited to hear them.
The first thing I found, I have been wanting to make this for a long time, are called snippet rolls. And it's like
Oh, yeah, I've seen
do you know what I
those.
mean? Like a
Mhm.
2-inch wide piece of fabric. And then you just put embellishments and ribbon and just kind of create them however you want. And then you roll it up and you've got all these, you can cut them up. You can, I guess you could die cut them. You could do all kinds of stuff and make embellishments. And I also saw somebody on YouTube making snippet squares. So if, like me, a big long piece of fabric intimidates you, you just take a little square and start making. It's almost like your little stacks that we do.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
stack and staple, but with fabric and lace
Exactly,
and yeah.
Stack and staple or stack and stitch. Either way.
Yeah, stack and stitch. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
Oh, I like stack and stitch.
I do
I know.
too.
And then, you can add buttons and sequins, and I saw lace, paper, garment labels. That was one I hadn't thought of, and I watched a video
Ooh,
today.
that's
I was
a
like,
good one.
oh, that's cool. Yeah, and it looked really neat. And sari silk, seam binding, all of that kind of stuff could go on a snippet roll, which is kind of cool.
You could stamp on them.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. If you don't know what snippet rolls are, if you haven't heard of them, there's tons of videos with tutorials because everybody approaches it a little differently. So you can get on YouTube and look at some videos of it, and
Yeah.
you'll probably get really excited about it because they look beautiful.
They're so cool.
I think that I'm like you, Lauri, like just thinking of doing a big whole roll at once.
Oh, it stresses me out.
Yeah, because I'm just like, here's what would happen. I would do like half an inch and I'd be like, ooh, that's pretty. I'm going to make this. And I'd cut it off.
And that's the end of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, which is
Oh,
fine. I
gosh.
think either way works. If you have time to do one big long roll, then you've got this sort of fun stuff that's already made so that if you don't have a lot of time later to make something, you've pre-made your embellishments, which is fun.
Yeah.
So one that I have are rosettes and flowers.
Mhm.
And I love doing fabric flowers because you can literally make any piece of fabric look like a flower just by bunching it up and stapling it. I've done that so many times. But then there's also really specific ways that you can fold and either sew or glue. You don't have to sew fabric to make it look like flowers. And in fact, one of the first blog things that I ever did when I first started blogging so long ago, 2003.
Wow.
I know. Can you believe that?
Yes.
It just seems like, how can that be true? That's almost 20 years ago. How can that even
know.
be possible?
It's crazy,
to me,
right?
blogs are still new.
Not to the rest of us, Mel.
I know. We were talking about this before we started recording, that I have no concept of time. Like, time just, I'm like,
away.
I just can't believe that it's been 20 years. That just doesn't even seem possible. But it is, because I have a son who was a baby when I started blogging and he's about to graduate. So
Isn't that crazy?
I know. So, but the post was 31 flowers in 31 days. And it was my most popular post that I've ever done. And well, 31 posts, I guess. And I did flowers that I made, and then I would find other people's blogs that had flowers, and I would link to those some of the days. And this is on my old blog. It's not on my one now. But one of the flowers that I did is a folded petals, and there's a long story that goes with that, which I'm not sure I want to tell on the podcast.
That
but
pretty
I'll tell
much
you
means
later.
you do want to tell us. You can always cut it out later.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You'll have to let us know.
But anyway,
I can't picture these petals that you're talking about, though.
It's the petals they're circles, and then you fold them into fours, and then you sew them in together in a strip. And when you pull the strip, the petals kind of form into almost like a daisy flower. And what I'll try to do is do a video of it. I've never done a video of it before.
Oh, that'd be
just
cool.
Pictures and show you how to make it, because it's super easy and it's really, really cute. And you can make it really fast, and it makes a really cute brooch as a gift. Just put a little pin backing on it. But you can also just pin it to the front of your journal or hang it from the side of your journal as a charm. So fabric flowers, that's one of my favorite things to do. And part of that also are fabric yo-yos, make really cute flowers. If you're not familiar with yo-yos, you take a circle of fabric and you just gather it around the edges, and how do I explain it, Jess?
I don't know, because do you want to know the honest truth? I've never made a fabric yo-yo.
You haven't? They're so fun.
It's on my goal this week. I'm going to make one, but I've never made one.
Isn't it kind of the rosette of the fabric world?
I don't know. It's a fabric yo-yo.
It kind of looks like, it's round like a rosette, and it's kind of gathered like a paper rosette, but it's different. It's the rosette of the fabric world.
I have made fabric florals, fabric flowers, but I've never made a yo-yo.
Well, they're really fun, and they look really cool stitched together. I guess they're vintagey in a way. I remember when I was a little girl, my mom used to sell things at craft fairs, and she made these angels. They had eyelet dresses. It was the 70s, so they had eyelet dresses, and they had yo-yo hair. And she went to this craft show. Yeah, the yo-yos we made them out of these, out of this, like, I don't even know what kind of fabric. Like, it's kind of like organza, but it was stiff. What is that, Jess?
Starched organza?
No, it is. And I can't remember the name of it, but I've been seeing it it's harder. It's not.
Yeah,
soft.
It's like organza, but it's stiff. But it was really pretty on the angel hair. So we covered their whole head in these yo-yos, so it looked like hair. Okay, I'm gonna have to find a picture of it. I actually found the exact pattern that my mom used on Etsy one time, and I bought it. So I know I have that somewhere. So
That's cool.
So I'll see if I can find it. And anyway, the story is that she took orders for these angels, and it was like 2 months before Christmas, and they were beautiful. So she got all these orders, and then she was like, how am I going to make all these yo-yos? Because, you have to make yo-yos by hand, and each angel, I think it took like 50 yo-yos to cover their head. And she had like 30 or 40 orders.
How big were these angels?
They were big. They were like from top to bottom, they were probably, I'm holding my hands up so I can measure in the air. They were probably like about 3 feet. Total.
Oh, they're big.
Yeah. So they were really big, and they were so pretty. Or I'm just remembering they were that big because I was a little girl. That is very possible. But so I remember the whole family had to help her make these yo-yos.
Oh my gosh.
So we would sit at the table at night, my little brother, my dad, and my mom, and we would making these yo-yos because we needed like 1,000 or something.
Oh my gosh. Well, that explains why I couldn't picture a yo-yo as hair on a doll, because I was thinking a yo-yo as hair on a Barbie doll, like that size, and I could not figure that out. That makes much more sense.
Those are some teeny tiny yo-yos.
Her head was kind of flat, I don't know how to explain it. But so then they covered all, around the back. It was all flat hair. I'll show you the picture. I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, that would be good.
I'm sorry that I took us way down a rabbit trail on that. But that's my yo-yo story.
I love it. That's great.
So they're so fun to make though, and they're really pretty. And like you may have seen quilts, vintage quilts, they would make a whole quilt from yo-yos, sewing them together. Have you ever seen those?
Yes, I have seen those.
Yes.
Those are
I
really
have too.
pretty. But they're really cute. And I think it would be cool to do a whole, like a Bible cover or a journal cover out of all yo-yos. Wouldn't that be
Oh,
cute?
yeah.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
You wouldn't need that many, I don't think. And they have a special tool. I think Clover makes it to help you make yo-yos, but I've
Okay.
never been able to get it to really work. It's like this disc, and you're supposed to wrap the fabric around it, and then. But to me, it's just easier to just sew the fabric without the disc. I don't know. That's just me though. But I will link to a video of how to make those because there's tons of videos online on how to sew them, but they're super easy. I mean, you basically just do a little 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch stitch around the whole circle, and then you pull it tight and it forms this little yo-yo.
Well, I'm going to try it.
I'm sure yours are going to be amazing because you already kind of know what you're doing with fabric.
Yes,
We'll
I
see.
second
They may
that.
be a hot mess.
Okay, Lauri, you want to give us one of your ideas?
Yes. So I have done this before, but I don't know if it's in one of my videos. I couldn't tell you. But I like to take ribbon or lace or even pieces, like 1-inch strips of fabric, and sew them on the edges of my junk journal pages.
Mm-hmm.
And that just adds make them like page flags or tabs kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it adds just texture, and I just think it looks really pretty.
Yeah, me too. I love doing like little ribbon tabs and little fabric tabs.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jess? Do you want to jump in with an idea?
Yeah, so this is not something I've tried yet, but I was doing a little bit of research for the podcast, and it is something I am trying this week. But I found a blog post where someone had taken leaves and done a rubbing on fabric, like just a cotton. It could be any color, it could be a white, cream, whatever you want it to be, and done like a crayon rubbing on top of it. You could use fabric crayons. I know Crayola makes fabric crayons. And then taken that and done some freehand stitching or free motion stitching on the veins that were rubbed onto the fabric. Now, they had used a paint on their fabric, but you wouldn't have to. I think it would be really cool to use like an eco dyed with coffee or tea fabric.
Ooh, yeah. Or avocado.
Yes, avocado. Yes, my fave. And done the stitching on the veins to add dimension to the leaves. I'd even thought about layering your eco dyed coffee, tea, avocado fabric with a tulle on top, and doing your stitching on top of the tulle would be really cool to create some fabric embellishments. So that's a goal of mine this week. But I think it'd be neat.
Because I'm going to need to see some of that, please. I can't picture that.
Well, I think it'd be. I love rubbings. Like I go back to my kindergarten classroom. Like I love rubbing steel, and I think it would be so cool to rub on fabric.
Yeah, beautiful.
So that's where you put the leaf or whatever over, and then you turn your crayon sideways and rub over it.
You put the leaf under it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, and you rub it sideways, or you just get a blunt side of your crayon and rub. Lightly over the veins.
And I guess so it doesn't look like a bunch of scribbles. You just do it over the leaf, like not all around the leaf.
Well, so here's the thing. It's not going to matter because after you do your free motion stitching, cut it out. Cut out around that.
So you're making like almost like an applique.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I
think that sounds pretty.
That
would be cool. The perfect thing to do on the old bed sheet fabric.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
This is kind of thinnish, and you could get a really good rubbing through that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, along the same lines, and I think you mentioned this already, but stamping on fabric.
Yes.
And we have a mutual friend on Instagram. I'm sure a lot of people listening know her. But her name is Angela, but she goes by Maker Mom on Instagram. And she sent me some ribbon that she had made. She had torn muslin strips. And then she had just stamped all along the strip and then just wrapped it around a little card. And it was so pretty. And I loved how handmade it looked and everything.
Oh, cool.
So I think that is a great use for, and again, bed sheets would be perfect for that. But if you just had some plain muslin, you could tear it into strips and then stamp on it. So I love that idea.
Oh, yeah. And you can jelly print on fabric. And then you could do some stamping on that as well, or die cut your fabric out into, whatever shape you want. So
Yeah, I saw a really cool thing that wasn't to do with fabric, but I was thinking this would be the perfect thing for fabric is, you know how like if you have a really pretty floral piece of fabric, or maybe it has a very specific pattern on it and you want just a certain part of that pattern, like maybe you're doing a butterfly and you want a certain part of that fabric to be the butterfly's wings.
Mhm.
So you take a piece of cardstock and you die cut the butterfly out of it, and then you take the negative part, you take the butterfly out and you just take the negative part and you use that kind of like a viewfinder, and you can lay it on the fabric and move it all around the fabric and find the exact spot that you want to cut.
Yeah.
And
That's a
then
good tip.
isn't that a great tip? And then you know exactly what you're going to do, and you can mark it with chalk if you want to, where you want to cut. And then because a lot of times you cut something out and you think it's going to look one way, but then when you cut it out, it didn't really capture the part of the
Right.
fabric that you wanted. So anyway, I thought that was a really good. They were actually doing it for something completely different, but making like a little viewfinder, and I was like, that would be perfect for fabric. So
Yeah,
I
that's
love
a great
that.
idea.
So what else, Lauri? Do you have one?
I do fabric, like a fabric stack, but larger fabric. So then you can kind of staple it or stitch it onto your page as a tuck spot. So you can just tuck stuff in. Fabric paper clips, which are, just tying a piece of fabric on, but it adds a lot of texture. And then fabric or lace as a mat for photos or ephemera, or some sort of images for whatever you're making for inside your journal. And then printing on fabric, which I also like. And in fact, I copied a dictionary page onto a piece of muslin and then tore it into strips like ribbon, and it looked really cool.
Yeah. That is so cool. And then Jessica's doll that we just put in the newsletter, she had printed the collage sheets from the new clipping collage, and it looked so good on fabric. And Michelle did that too. She's another one of our design team members. She printed the newest vintage linen collage sheet on fabric, and I just couldn't stop looking at it. I was like, it just looks so good.
So pretty, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's my two favorite things, paper and fabric combined.
Exactly. And I did your trick of ironing it to freezer paper, and it works like a charm.
Oh, did
I was
you?
very excited about that. Yes.
Oh, yay.
It's
That was
wonderful.
I guess we should mention that again. I think we talked about it a couple episodes ago, but it's super easy. You just iron the fabric onto freezer paper and cut it to 8.5 by 11 and put it right in your printer, and you can print anything on it. You can print any of the printables on it. You can print anything that you have, anything that you've scanned in.
Yeah, it was neat. And it was neat to tear that into strips. And if you did printable, like your collage sheets or something, that'd be great ribbon. Just print it out and tear it apart, and it's going to be gorgeous ribbon. And I love the frayed edges, and
me too.
I love that stuff. So that would be really cool.
I have all of the little scraps from cutting out the doll parts saved for that reason of the collage papers.
Yeah. Oh, I bet that's so pretty too.
Yeah.
That actually leads me to one of my other ideas, which are fabric tassels. Have y'all seen these?
Yes, I've made them.
To hang on the side of your journal.
Oh yeah, I've seen one on something Jess made me.
Yeah.
She has made them.
Yeah, they're so much fun to make. They're super easy. And if you basically you just take strips of fabric and fold them in half, just like you're making a tassel. And then you can tie something around the top to tie them all together. And then what I've done is use a lobster claw clip that you get, in the jewelry department at the craft store, and just put that in that loop at the top, and then you can just hang it on the side of your journal, and it looks so pretty. And you can do fabric strips, but then you can also include ribbon and
twine.
You know what I think would be pretty? What'd you say?
Twine? I said twine.
Yeah.
Twine. Not twine. Twine.
Twine.
I'm going to go away. Hush.
Quit your twining, Jess. Okay, sorry. Squirrel.
Y'all, this is totally off topic, but when I edit the podcast, I have a thing that makes an automatic transcript of what we say. And it is so hilarious what it thinks Jess is saying sometimes. And I'm like, why does it think that? And then I say the word out loud that the thing put, and then I can hear her accent when it's so funny. I wish I could think of one of the words right now. I'm going to have to find them, and then next episode, I'll read you some of the words.
That's so funny.
That can be in our outtakes too, because that's going to be hilarious. You thought you'd get good ones on me, Jess, but we've got some good ones on you too.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I can't change it. I can't.
It really does it to all three of us, but it does it to Jess the worst.
Yeah.
And it's very funny. So, okay, Angelina fibers. That's what I was going to say. I think
Oh,
that
they're
would
my
be
favorite.
so pretty in the tassel, to give it that
Yes.
wispy look. And you could put tulle in there or
Mhm.
cheesecloth, anything to give it kind of a wispy, ribbony
Yeah.
look.
Mhm.
So that's one of my favorites, I think, is because it combines all the different things that we love into one.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to do a video on the Angelina fibers. I guess I should probably get on that.
They're included
Sorry,
in the
guys.
video I have made but have not put on YouTube yet of the doll because I have them.
No.
Well, I
Bless
don't
you,
have the
woman.
process of making the hair, but they are the hair of the doll. You
They
need
look
to make
cute.
it.
I love it as the hair.
Oh, I
Oh,
know.
I was wondering what her hair was. I didn't know that was the Angelina
Yes,
fibers.
those are Angelina, and I just ironed the base of them so that
So
they
they'd
all
clump
sticky
together.
outy
Mhm.
at the top, but they're
Sticky outy.
they're all sticky outy, but they're flat at the bottom, so you can actually sew them on.
Mhm.
That is so cool.
No, I love them.
Okay, I'll make that up. I'll make that a priority this week. I'll do a video for y'all.
Yay.
Not on the hair,
Yay.
but on, use it. Yeah. On what I've seen people do with them.
Yeah, I sent Lauri a picture of the doll when I had pins stuck in her head holding the Angelina fibers on because I thought Brett needed the picture of the creepy doll with the creepy pins sticking out.
I will just have you know that we've gotten at least one person this week
You
who
need
has
to
said,
hush.
yes, they're creepy.
They're not creepy.
They are.
I think it's
Okay.
actually 2 at this point.
Oh!
I think so too.
Thank you, Melissa. I think so too.
But I don't think they're creepy. I think they're
I
beautiful.
love them. Thank you.
I
Melissa's
think
my
they're beautiful
favorite.
until you stuff them and make them look creepy.
They're a doll.
No, I don't know what it is. Oh, gosh.
Okay, so another fun thing to do that I like to do is to take apart silk flowers, especially the really
Yes.
big ones.
Sorry, I got excited.
Yes, you did, didn't you? I was like, well, where's this going? I need to hear this.
I actually have a video where I made one of these and I showed how to make it and I put it on the front of one of my journals. But you take a big silk flower and you take the center out of it and then you take all the petals apart and then you layer in tulle in between the layers of petals and then you
Oh.
put the flower back together and it kind of just puffs it up and makes it look all sparkly and
Ooh,
pretty.
fun.
And yeah, it's super quick and easy, but it just looks really beautiful.
Melissa is the whole reason I started using silk flowers in my junk journaling when I saw her do
Really?
it on a video. And I can hardly do pages without silk flowers. They're going to be all throughout my journals.
Me too. I love them so much
Mhm.
because they're super cheap and you buy one stem of flowers and you get like 30 flowers
Yes.
on it.
Mhm.
And they're
And-
so fun because you
Yeah.
can manipulate them to make them look
Mhm.
different and be different and add color to it. They're just awesome.
Yeah, you can stamp on them, you can emboss them. I mean, they are kind of fabric when you think about it.
Yep.
They're just
They are.
in flower shape.
That's right.
But yeah, I love silk flowers and silk leaves in the fall.
Yeah.
When I do fall journals, I love
Oh,
to use
yes.
the silk leaves.
Mhm.
You know, I'm saying silk, but I'm pretty sure none of them are made out of silk
No.
I'm
anymore.
pretty sure
I
you're
don't
right.
think so either.
And
I
when you
wish,
said that
but-
they're basically fabric, I almost said, well, yeah, they're silk. But then I thought, oh, no, they're probably
Yeah.
not.
They're
But
like plastic, acrylic, something or other. But
I know. I do have some leaves, though, that are, I don't know what they are. They're like fuzzy, but they're, oh, gosh. Never mind. I can't remember what
They're
they are.
fuzzy leaves. Okay.
They're like
mold.
velvet,
velvet, yeah.
the, like super, super short pile or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm. I have some like that I got on Etsy that are vintage. Maybe they're vintage that you have.
Maybe. I don't know. But they're really pretty.
Yeah, I love them. So, Lauri, do you have more on your list?
I think we've covered all my list.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I made a little 4th of July banner. I got this little red wagon at Hobby Lobby. It was so cute. And I was really excited because it was 50% off because it was like 2 days before 4th of July.
Mhm.
But it was in a display with Christmas stuff because it was red, I guess. But I thought it might be 4th of July. So I went and looked at the bottom. And you know how they mark it by, the spring shop or the summer
Yes.
shop or whatever.
Mhm.
So it was whatever the shop was that was 50% off. And it was the only one because everyone bought all the ones that weren't in the Christmas display. So I was pretty excited that I got it for 50% off. And I made this little patriotic banner with red, white, and blue ribbon. It was a thick, like
cute.
3-inch ribbon.
Mhm.
And then you cut it to about 6 inches long, and then you accordion fold it up and take a stitch in it, and then it spreads out so that it looks like, you know, those little half circle banners. Do those have a name?
Yeah, I know what you mean. No, I don't know what they're called,
Oh.
but I do know what you mean.
They're like half circles, and they use them a lot in patriotic
Yep.
things. And
They do
so it
have a
looks
name.
like
But I can't think what they are.
I did it with ribbon, so it's tiny. It's like a miniature version of those, and I hung it on this little wagon on my mantle. And I was thinking how cool that would be in your book to do a little mini version of that. And you wouldn't have to make it patriotic. You could do it with any ribbon. Any wide ribbon will work. So,
Yeah.
and any fabric would work. If you cut it into 3-inch strips and then accordion fold it, you can make, I wish I could think of what the name of it is.
Is it called? It's called a bunting.
Yeah,
Like a
bunting.
bunting. Yeah. Yeah, but it just came out so pretty. So that was one that I thought would be really good to do with fabric.
We're going to need to see pictures, please.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll put a picture in the show notes of my little wagon. I was so excited about my wagon, y'all. And I came home, I told my husband because he's the only one here, and he was just like, he did not act appropriately excited.
Oh my goodness. They don't understand.
He was just like, that's really exciting, honey.
Boys,
Like,
they do not understand. I'm telling you.
I'm like, honey, there were none left, but I got one because I thought to look at
Uh-oh.
Anyway.
That's awesome.
So, okay, I think I have a couple more here. Collaging fabric, of course, just like you would make any collage. And this is kind of like the snippet rolls, but if you take a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper and just take all your fabric scraps and lace scraps and ribbon and just lay it out. And we actually talked about this, I think, in one of our episodes. You can even do
Yes.
it on heat and bond and then press it onto the heat and bond. And now it's like this one piece of fabric. But if you don't have heat and bond, you can just use glue or you can just lay it on a piece of paper. I've just laid it before and then just sewn just random stitches all over it to sew it down to the paper. Another thing that you can do is when you get all your scraps laid out on the paper is take some tulle and lay it over the top, kind of sandwich the scraps so you can still see them under the tulle, and then take that and that kind of helps hold it down and then sew all over it. And you're making like a little piece of fabric out of all your scraps, and it looks really cool. It especially looks cool if you die cut shapes out of it then, and you get just these random mixes and random patterns.
That is kind of cool. I'm going to have to see a picture of that too, please. In case I haven't mentioned it before, I'm not real good at picturing things in my head.
What you're talking about sounds a lot like, and I think this will help Lauri, the fodder board with paper and paint, but with fabric.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, and it looks really pretty. So I will try and do one and take a picture of it. Pockets and envelopes, of course, with fabric are so easy. You can just fold the fabric in half and sew up the sides, and you have a pocket or an envelope. Shapes like fabric butterflies. If you just gather up, basically you take 2 rectangle shapes, one large on the top and a small rectangle on the bottom, and then accordion fold them and basically pinch it in the middle and then tie ribbon around it. Then the sides pop out to make butterfly wings, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to give you a picture of that one too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right.
It's so much easier than it sounds though, and it looks really pretty. And then of course, like hearts and flowers, anything that you can cut into a shape, not fabric flowers like that you sew, but just cut the shape out, look really pretty. And then the other thing that I was thinking was matchbooks. Matchbooks, my favorite kind of mini book. I love making matchbooks. And I was thinking, how cool would it be to take like your favorite fabric and iron it onto heat and bond, so it gives it a little bit of weight, a little stiffness, and then fold it into a matchbook shape. And then you could even have like fabric pages, little tiny fabric pages in your matchbook.
Yeah.
And sew buttons on
that'd be cute.
I love that idea.
Yeah, I think that would be so pretty.
I didn't tell y'all, but I got a die cut for matchbooks.
What?
Yeah, I have one too.
You do?
It's a Tim Holtz. Yeah, I got it at an estate sale.
Yeah. I got one on Etsy. No, eBay.
It's really old, that's why.
Yes.
And you know what? I have a confession. It didn't come with any instructions, and I cannot figure out how to use it.
There are videos on it. I've seen videos.
Is there?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to have to give me the video link because
Yeah.
it's got those little magnetic squares. Does yours
I don't
have
know
that?
what that's for, but
Me
I cut some
either.
paper out and it turned into a little matchbook.
Yeah, I have cut it and not used those squares, but I don't know what they're for, how to use them, and I really
Okay.
want to know.
Somebody listening to this that knows what the magnetic squares are for, we need to know this.
Yeah,
Is it a
We
mover
need
and a
to know.
shape? I think it's a mover and a shaper die.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty
And-
sure
I
it
don't know
says
what
that
that
on
is.
there, but I still don't know what to do with it.
It's something. Okay, I'm gonna look this up for y'all. Oh, working with movable magnetic dies to create a truly customized shape cutting experience. That's what it says on
That
Sizzix.
sounds
Sure.
really fun.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
we'll have to
yeah,
we'll have to
that's not
figure it out
helpful.
because I would love to know what to do with those little squares. But yeah, that die would be perfect to cut out fabric. Ooh, what if we made a chenille matchbook?
Oh,
Wouldn't that be gorgeous?
yes.
I
Mhm.
really want to make that now.
Do you know Sizzix? Oh my gosh, Sizzix has it on sale for $9.
What?
The matchbook die?
Yeah, the Sizzix Movers and Shapers L die matchbook set. It's like 2 matchbooks, like a square one and a rectangle one.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, you need to get it
Well,
because you can't
it's
find
really
it for that
cool.
anywhere else.
Mm-mm.
Oh, and it's a steel rule die. Steel rule die. That's hard to
Yeah,
say.
it's a big thick one.
Yeah, there's something about the movers and shapers because I have a couple of those, and I think it may take a special platform or something that that they don't make anymore. I don't know. It was something
No,
funky.
it worked on mine.
I
It worked
just
on mine. Yeah.
well, I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, I just started putting stuff together until it worked.
Hey,
And it
whatever it takes. That's a great sale considering it was
I
originally
know.
$29 and it is on sale for $9.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah,
good
now
sale.
let me see. I added it to the cart. I mean, I'm assuming, yeah, I could check out. That's wild. Okay, but I'm not actually buying this die because I don't love matchbooks.
So
I'll regret it
how
at
can
some
you
point.
not love matchbooks?
I don't know.
I love
I
them
just-
so much.
They haven't spoken to me yet.
Okay.
She's going to get
When
it.
I make
when
my
we-
chenille
yeah.
matchbook, you're gonna wish you had it.
You're probably right.
Well, I think that wraps up all of our ideas, not all of our ideas, but the ones that we have time for on the podcast today on fabric embellishments. I hope you got some inspiration and some ideas. So our challenge for you this week is to create a fabric embellishment, of course, and we're going to put all kinds of fun links in the show notes. And I'm going to put the picture of that angel with the yo-yo hair, and I'll link you to some places where you can learn how to make yo-yos. So that would be a perfect fabric embellishment if you want to try that, or any of the ones that we talked about, or maybe you have an idea of one that you want to make already. And if you do, make sure that you use the hashtag Creative Faith and Friends, because we are giving prizes out every week to people that we see using that hashtag on Instagram. And we have a new prize winner this week.
Yes.
And it is my turn to give out the prize. And our prize winner, right? Is it my turn?
No, it's not your turn to give out
No.
the prize. It's
and
mine.
it's not my turn. It's
Lauri's
Lauri's.
turn.
Why did I think it was my turn?
Because last
It's
week
Lo-
is your turn.
Yeah, Lauri, it's your turn to give out the prize.
It is. And our prize winner is on Instagram at Darla PC, like personal
Yeah.
computer. So congratulations, Darla. I will contact
Yay.
you on your Instagram messaging.
Yes.
Yay.
So now a new part of our challenge is we were giving a word of the week to be your focus, but we decided we still want to do word of the week, but instead of just one word, we want it to be God's word of the week. So we're going to give you actually a whole verse, and you don't have to use the whole verse, or you can use the whole verse, or you can just let it inform or inspire you for what you want to create. But the verse this week is going to be 2 Corinthians 3, verse 18. And it says, "But we all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, just as by the Spirit of the Lord." And we love that. We talked a little bit about it before the show because one of the things that the three of us talk about a lot is just fixing our eyes on Jesus and keeping him the focus, especially when things are getting hard. that you want to keep your focus on him. And so we felt like that's kind of what we want to do with our verse of the week or our word of the week is we want to pick verses that help you fix your eyes on Jesus, just like this one talks about. And that when we do that, we don't have to be working on ourselves because the word says that we're being transformed into his image when we behold him. And so I kind of feel like it's like when Peter walked on the water, when he got out of that boat and he was looking at Jesus, he was doing what Jesus was doing. He was so much like the Lord that he was able to do what he was doing, which was miraculous because he was keeping his eyes fixed on Jesus. And so I feel like when you feel like you really want something to change in your life, the best thing to do is just get in the word and soak up the Lord. What do you guys think?
Agreed. Absolutely.
I agree also. And I think that every time I hear that verse, I think of a butterfly. And we were just talking about making butterflies in our journal, but I think of the process of being transformed. And I think how, you have this creepy little caterpillar that turns into this absolutely stunningly beautiful butterfly. And that's how I view our process of coming from being in darkness with sin. And when your eyes and you accept Jesus as your Savior and you focus on him, you just become more beautiful and radiant, and your face shines like Moses' did when his veil was lifted and he was able to see God.
Yeah. Really well put, Jess.
Yeah, that is. And I just have a little tip of something that I've been doing, because if you're anything like me, I have my quiet time in the morning and then I kind of get off to doing whatever and I lose my focus on the Lord. And so I've started putting reminders on my phone. And just to come up every hour, either a scripture or just something to kind of trigger my memory. And it's been helpful. So that's a little tip.
That's a great tip. I just started really trying to memorize Psalm 139, and it is such an awesome psalm. It's one of those ones that you hear parts of it quoted all the time, so you can kind of get used to it. But if you sit down and just read it, maybe it's just really speaking to me right now. But anyway, I've been trying to memorize it and I keep it on my phone so that I can open it and just look at it. But I love the idea of putting a reminder in so that it pops up. I can just put whatever part of the verse I'm working on and then have it pop up.
That's a great idea.
That's awesome.
And then work on it. So I love that. It's such a good idea. So I hope that you like our new word of the week and that you think it's fun and a great way to inspire your pages. So 2 Corinthians 3:18 is our inspiration, and we can't wait to see what you come up with. So before we go, we've got fun finds for you.
Yay.
And Jess, why don't you go first?
Okay, so my fun find is a little random, but that's okay too. And it's a soap that my husband actually started getting.
I know where this is going.
Yeah. He gets it for, like, if he gets oil on his hands or is working outside. I'm not going to say he's not real handy, but when he does stuff outside and he gets dirty, like, sometimes that's really hard to get off. Well, what I have found is that when I get paint on my hands or art supplies on my hands, glue, it's really difficult to get off with regular soap. And this soap is phenomenal. It doesn't just work for men and their shop needs. It is wonderful for art supplies, and it is called Permatex Fast Orange Pumice.
Pumice.
Do what?
Pumice. She was correcting your pronunciation. That is Lauri's. That's Lauri's assignment, apparently, in our podcast, is she helps Jess and I pronounce things correctly.
Oh, anyway. Pumice. Potato, patata. Anyway, it's not real expensive, but I'm telling y'all, it is fantastic for getting anything off your hands.
I'm super excited about that because I had matte medium on my hand last weekend and I could not get it washed off. It was driving me crazy. I would think I had it all off, and then I'd be typing and I'd be like, what is on my finger? And it was that matte medium. I still had some on my finger. So
gosh,
I'm really excited about that.
Wonderful.
That's pretty cool.
Hey, Lauri, what's yours?
Okay. So my fun find for this week is a book called Granny Chic. And I think it was printed in England somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a little bit hard to come by. We will put a link in the show notes, but it is the coolest. It's got all kinds of pictures of just vintage good fabric. It's beautiful. Fabric
Cool.
buntings, just these I think it's one or two ladies, and they decorate their house. It's Dottie Angel. I don't know if anybody knows
Dottie
that.
Angel.
Do you know
Yes,
Dottie Angel?
I used to love her. She has totally
Yes.
changed her style now, but yeah, I know
Oh, okay.
exactly what book you're talking about.
Yes,
too.
and it's amazing. I saw another YouTuber using bits of it in her junk journal one time, and that's why I bought it, but I haven't been able to pull it apart. It is just so pretty. It has gorgeous photos, and I just absolutely love it.
Yay. Ooh, I hope I can find it. I've looked for it before and couldn't find it. At one time I saw it on Amazon for like $100 because that's what they do when the book goes out of print.
It's crazy. Yeah. Well, if you look on Amazon now, I think that you'll find some cheaper ones. Underneath where it says paperback, if it says 20 used from $8.62. So go check that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Excited. Okay, mine is not an art supply, and it's also, I don't know how fun of a find it's going to be.
Wow, that's quite a lead-in.
But I know. But this is something that we order these by the case, and they are called Nugo dark chocolate pretzel protein bars. And they are so yummy, and they're gluten-free and dairy-free because we have allergies in our family. So that makes them even better. There's 12 grams of protein in them. So a lot of times when I am running around like crazy and I don't have time to eat breakfast or lunch, I just grab one of these, and it's like the perfect thing to get you through to whatever the next meal is. And like I said, they're super yummy. I mean, they almost taste like a candy bar. They're so good. So, and we actually order them by the case online because our grocery store sells out of them all the time. So clearly we're not the only ones that think they're yummy. So I just thought that might be a fun one because it's something that we love at our house. And if you are a person that likes things like that, like protein snacks, or I know you two are probably as busy as I am, it's just a really good meal replacement when you need one. It
does look delicious, I'll tell you that. I'm real weird about protein things.
Yes, she is. She's so bougie about it.
I am so bougie. You know what I've decided? I do not like whey protein.
Yeah, we can't eat it.
So. She just doesn't like good for you stuff.
That is not true. Salad's one of my favorite things in the whole world. And grilled vegetables and roasted vegetables, I do like healthy things.
Yeah.
Well, you will love these because they are really, if you didn't know that it was a protein bar, you'd think it was just like a candy bar. They're really good.
Well, I am actually, believe it or not, looking at the ingredients.
I do believe
delicious.
It. You're always Googling while I'm talking.
I know. Do you hear that when I'm recording?
Sometimes I have to edit it out. Yes.
I try real hard to be real quiet.
Lauri, come on.
Jessica.
Neither one of you can talk because I have to edit and I hear what both of you are doing. I always hear, I imagine that it's sweet tea because it's Jess, but I always hear ice rattling on Jess's end.
I don't have ice. I don't know what it would be.
Oh, I don't know. It's some kind of rattling.
Oh, it might be if I have a loaded tea.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. I'll bet. Yep. That's funny.
So, okay. Well, we will stop boring you with that conversation. But those are our fun finds, and you will have links. We'll have links to those in the show notes if you're interested in any of those. Before we go, we want to share with you where you can find us online. Lauri, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram or YouTube as Measure Once, Cut Twice with periods in between the words.
And Jess, where can we find you?
You can find me at Just Give Me Jesus on Instagram and YouTube, and at Choose Joy in Jesus on Etsy.
And you can find me at pinkpaperpeppermints.com, and I'm at pinkpaperpeppermints on all my social media, and I would love to meet you there. Thank you all so much for joining us. We hope you have a great week, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Well, I hope you feel inspired to create some fabric embellishments for your inspiration journal this week. Are there any fabric embellishments that you love that we missed? Also, do you know what those little magnetic squares are for in the matchbook die? Because Jess and I really need your help with that. And one last question, how do you say twine? Leave us a comment on my blog at pinkpaperpeppermints.com/podcast and let us know. You can find links to everything we talked about in the show notes at pinkpaperpeppermints.com/019. And as always, if you have a moment to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we would be so grateful for that. It really helps the show to get found, and it helps us to connect with more creative friends like you. I'm Melissa Olson, and I hope you have a week filled with grace and peace, and we will see you next time on Creative Faith and Friends.